chance. Look at the view.
full of song, full of colour, full of pleasure.
I am an ancient tree. but we're taking more than we need. We're spray painting our lives like vandals of the earth. Now we're crying out to be free. Our new planet is pretty green, but we're taking more than we need. We're spray painting our lives like vandals of the earth. Now we're crying out to be free. Get out of your car and recycle more. Connect, sustain and support. Consider the labels, unplug all the cables. Let's think about our future and talk. Turn off all those lights when they're not in use, and try to grow your own food. Working together is now or never. Achieve the things we should. And now be brave, be good. There's a ripple effect all across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. There's a ripple effect all across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. As we future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. There's a ripple effect all across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. As we future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. Change how we use our resources. Got to put less carbon in the air. Got to eat less meat, see it more as a treat. We've only got one planet to share. Contribute more to the charities that encourage us to plant more trees. Solar panel planes and electric cars, no more plastic going into the seas. Rethink, revitalise, rewind, rekindle, regard. We need a solution, we need a revolution. Respond, we have that from you. F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. Now we're saying F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. As we tell the road,
Hello and welcome to our wonderful audience, both here in the auditorium and online. It's great to see you. Many of you have been part of this extraordinary project, Future Visions. Let's hear a shout out for Future Visions from all of you. Great, we've got some strong voices, I know, from watching all the films in the audience. I'm Karen Gillingham, and I'm going to be presenting today. I also worked on 3 of the films myself. I had the privilege. And this is Matt from WWF. You're going to tell us the whole meaning of that, because I don't want to get it wrong.
No problem. So yes, I'm Matt from the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And Future Visions has been a unique opportunity for WWF, a leading conservation organisation, to work with Learning at the Grange, a leading arts organisation, to bring new lenses on this really unique moment in human history as the world changes as a result of climate change.
Thanks, Matt. And I can see you all sitting very comfortably, but I think we ought to just get ourselves in the mood by inviting Rob Gildon onto the stage to warm us all up.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I know some of you here, so it's great to see some familiar faces. Now, as Karen said, I know you're all sitting very comfortably, but I would love it if you could all stand up if you're able to, okay? And there's a reason for this. There's a reason for this. A reason for this. I know, standing up takes a bit of noise. It's great to hear your voices today. It's all about singing, it's about music, it's about sending out a message. But it's also a little bit chilly in here, so I think we need to warm up, don't we? So do whatever you can. And I'd love it if you could just rub your hands really fast. Yes, and put a smile on your face. It's lovely to be greeted by lovely smiling faces. That's great. Shake one hand out, shake the other hand out, shake one leg out, and shake the other leg out. That's great. Okay, now, could you just make sure, because this is important, you may know this already, that you're standing with your feet hip-width apart, yeah? So you feel really strong, yeah? Check your feet are there, and your knees are soft, yeah? And could you just wiggle your bottoms, please, just to make sure everything's free? Let's go up to our shoulders and roll our shoulders back for 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it's like a workout, isn't it? And then we're going to do it for 4. And could you call out the counts? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's great to hear your voices, and you're going to hear your voices on screen today. Now, could you take your left hand? Okay. I know it's confusing, isn't it? I know. Just keeping you on your toes. You know 8 counts with your left hand. Here we go. We're going to call out the counts. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And right leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to do it for 6, 4, 2, and 1. And at the end, I want you to strike a pose which makes you feel really strong and amazing. You got that? Here we go. So we're going to do 6. Here we go. Calling out the counts. I'm going to look up. There's people above. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. Strike pose makes you feel really good. You look absolutely marvelous. Now let's just warm up our voices very quickly. We don't have loads of time. Could you make this sound? Shh, shh, shh. It's like you're telling me to be quiet. I know it's a bit rude. And could you make this sound? Now, could you do this? Off you go. Like you're casting a spell that you want to change the world. That's absolutely brilliant. Could you just say to me, for me, sustainability? Sustainability. Could you say creativity? WWF. And future visions. Back to you, Karen.
Thank you very much, Rob. So today, we will present a series of films that are an original creative response to a global emergency by the future custodians of our planet. So that's you, right? We are delighted to show you this message today from someone who needs absolutely no introduction.
My name is David Attenborough, and I am 94 years old. When I was a boy, the world was much wilder than it is today. I worry about the legacy that my generation is passing on to yours. The destruction of nature that I've witnessed in my lifetime is starting to erode all the things we rely upon for society to function: clean air, water, food, and a stable climate. When you look at the scale of the problems that we face, it's easy to become downhearted. But do you know what gives me the greatest hope? It's you, young people. Your actions are already making people sit up and listen. And the choices you make now and in the future are key to putting us back on the path to recovery. Start today in your community, your school, your home. Together, we can create a wilder world. Just imagine that.
So this summer, Learning at the Grange, in collaboration with WWF, has given a voice to nearly 250 young people. So you're part of a wider project, and you're going to really see that today. And the young people have been aged 7 to 23 years old, and they express their hopes for a sustainable future. Through interactive workshops guided by exceptional creative teams, groups from 9 schools and educational institutions discussed and debated different global landscapes from the Amazon rainforest. Anyone here that did that? Give me a shout and a wave. Oh, they're feeling a bit shy. Let's see if we can do better with the ancient woodlands. Oh, very good. Here in the UK. They examined WWF's scientific truths, explored the steps that countries and individuals need to take to drive transformative change, and developed a vision for the future. In responding, they were encouraged to dig deep into their imaginations, and they wrote text, music, and choreographed sections as well. Can you think of anything else that you did as part of that process, some of you? Stick your hand out and shout out at me. Anything in, what about design? Costume design, settings, storyboards, that kind of thing. So it really was made by the young people that you're going to see in the films with their teams of artists. These films are intended to be shown at a number of global conferences, including COP26 in November, to drive conversations about how to sustain life on Earth. Now, Matt, if you'd like to join me, why did you feel that it was important for these young people, the Future Visions project, to take place and to make these films?
Well, there's been a huge focus in the media and through campaigns for organisations even like WWF on the scale of the problems we face. And there's not enough focus, I think, on the positive opportunity that comes on the other side, because we're not expecting young people. Young people don't have the responsibility to solve the climate crisis, but they do have the opportunity to shape the future. So to have these young people exploring what that could mean for their future and for the future of the planet has been genuinely inspiring for us, as well as hopefully for them.
Great. And Preston Candover Primary School took on this opportunity, and they were inspired by urban nature. And Matt, why did you think it was important for the school, their years 3 and 4, to focus on city trees? And just while Matt's talking, I wonder if we could bring Ella, who's a student from the school, and Hazel, the director of the project, onto stage with us.
Well, I was really excited. Oh, sorry. Give a quick round of applause. Yeah, I was so excited this was one of the chosen themes that you picked up on, because for many of us, a city tree, a street tree outside our house or our school is our daily experience of nature, and it's also our daily reminder that nature and people live side by side and can be stronger together. And so I think that's what really gets captured in this beautiful film.
Thank you, Matt. And Hazel, how did you start the process of making the response to what we're about to see in this film?
So we started with a fantastic group of young people, and we really started thinking about the urban environment, the city environment, and how it differed from a rural environment and how full of nature it is. And then we really thought about these old trees in the city. And in London, one of the oldest trees is more than 2,000 years old. So we thought about what that tree might have seen in the past, what it sees now, and then we really imagined what we'd like it to see in the future.
Great. And Ella, you and your classmates wrote the words in this film, didn't you, to your song?
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite lyric
Yes.
in the song? What is it?
It's the second one, when it gets really, really fast and like more energetic and upbeat.
And what are the words? Do you remember?
Time goes on. Tree houses under my branches, way up high, way up high. People live in the sky, on the ground below, more space for plants to grow.
Whoa. I love that. And we were having some debate backstage as to whether Ella was 7 when she helped write those lyrics. You were, weren't you? We think you were 7. She's had a birthday since, though, which is fantastic. Oh. So we are now going to watch your film, The City Tree, and you can sit and watch that. It's probably quite exciting the first time you've seen it. This is Preston Candover Primary. Thank you.
You're going to sit back down, and at the end of the film,
Well, congratulations. That was a very, very beautiful film. We're now going to look at a piece inspired by the Arctic. So I'd like to invite Maddie from the Vine Community School on stage with me, along with Hazel, who directed it, and Matt, again, great to see you. So Maddie, I just want to know what the coolest thing was about making the film that we're all about to see.
I think the coolest part about it was the fact that we, as a group, were able to create a song, like, without being individual, as most popular artists are.
Great. And did you have a good time making the film?
I had a really good time, and I really enjoyed the process of making the video for it, as it was very different.
Had you done anything like that in school before?
No, I had not.
Great. Are you going to take this on and do anything else?
I think it is a good start to see what possibly could happen in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done. And Matt, the Arctic temperature, I'm told, is rising 3 times faster than elsewhere on our planet. Why is this a problem?
Yeah, well, I mean, having talked about the city tree before, which everyone experiences on a daily basis, the Arctic is a place that most of us probably haven't visited. But of course, it's often a sort of iconic image of climate change, the melting ice. And if we do lose the ice in the Arctic, there's problems for the wildlife that live there. But we also lose one of the big air conditioning units for our planet that reflects light from the sun and helps to keep the planet cool while driving our weather system. So there is a kind of added threat from climate change if we get it to the point when the Arctic itself will melt. So it's a really important issue in this film.
And Maddie, Matt's just said that it's not very close to a lot of us because we've not visited. So did what you learned make a difference to you at all?
I feel as though it did, because it made me more aware of what I was actually saving, instead of knowing that just simply the ice was breaking, and it made it easier to write the song.
Yeah, and it's hard, isn't it, when you've not been somewhere or had actual personal contact to properly understand it. So it's great that you got inside of it like that. And how, Hazel, do you characterize something like the Arctic? Because it was, having seen the film, I'm quite interested in how you came to that as a group.
So as a writer in my own practice, I'm always really interested in imagery and symbols and trying to draw comparisons between things that we find difficult to understand and things that we find simple to understand. That's what helps us get inside things. And one of the things we really talked about in The Vine was that the Arctic is a place that is a real canary in the mine for the environment. It really shows us what the future might hold for us. So it both protects us and it holds up a mirror. So the young people at the Vine really thought about the Arctic using the symbol of a mirror and using the symbol as a shield. And then we thought, what if the Arctic was a character? What if the Arctic spoke in the first person? What kind of character would that be? And that felt like a really regal, important, godlike character. So that's where we started creating from.
And what I'd love to say to those of you in the audience that are in this film is it's incredibly difficult to watch a film and not just kind of watch yourself, because it's a terrifying experience, but try to experience the film as a whole and then obviously go back and watch it again so that you can do that and enjoy. This is Frozen Mirror by the Vine Community School. Thanks so much, and thank you, Maddie.
Centuries of with my
Congratulations to the Vine Community School. Give me a wave, you in the audience here. Where's the Vine? Oh, really well done. Let's give them another round of applause because that was so beautiful. And beautiful, beautiful music that you composed there with John Barber. Now, the next piece that we're going to look at is inspired by wetlands, and it's the Hampshire County Youth Choir. So I'm just going to invite Matt and Hazel onto the stage. So, Matt, every living thing on land relies on fresh water for its survival. So do we have enough to survive?
Yeah, well, we think of this as a blue planet, of course, because 71% of the planet is covered in water, but only 3% of the water on Earth is fresh water. So, of course, that dependence we have on it means that we really need to protect that resource carefully. And I think it's also really important to know, and this film picks up on this, that fresh water is a habitat as well as a resource, and we need that habitat to be strong. We need wildlife to be thriving in fresh water, for fresh water itself to be available and to continue to be fresh for everything that needs it across the landscape. So a very important habitat to protect.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons the Hampshire Youth Choir are not here today is because they come from lots and lots of different places, different schools, so they're not a group that can come out as one. So if any of you are listening to us online, I just want to say hello and looking forward to this fabulous piece that you created. But Hazel, it was quite different because we were coming out of one of our lockdowns and there was no sense of a bubble being created like there was in a lot of the school settings. So how did you cope with that? Was it challenging?
Yeah, there were challenges involved because there were quite a few distancing measures that we really had to respect very carefully. So we had to sit 2 meters apart. For those of you who are singers, you understand that's really hard because you can't hear one another very as well as you might be able to usually. We had to take quite short sessions, lots of regular breaks. But also it presented some opportunities. So in a school group, we really write together and think together. But what we were able to do in the Hampshire Youth Choir was to ask people to write sections individually, to really mine into their own imaginations. And then they gave all that to me, and I picked a line here and a line there and a line here and created a lyric, which I brought back to them, and they gave me feedback. And we did similar things with the music. So it was created in a different way. And the film as well was shot themselves. So they did a lot of it on their phones themselves in their home environments, really looking for freshwater environments all around them.
And were those the films they then sent on their films? That's how this film was made?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, so we, instead of having a filming session with our fabulous filming company, they gave us a workshop about the kind of footage they wanted, how people could capture it, how to use their phones in the best possible way. So it was really fun and really interesting and a really different process.
So I expect after you've seen this, I expect you all to start sending WWF and the Grange Festival your own versions of the film. Enjoy. This is Rewilding. So that was Hampshire County Youth Choir, and it was just utterly beautiful to listen to and watch. And I think it's the right moment to follow that with a message from Tanya Steele, who is the head of WWF UK.
All of us at WWF are working as hard as we can to ensure that the climate change talks at COP26 later this year bring the scale of commitment needed from our world leaders to act for our planet. We know that the way people live on our planet needs to change, and fast. The climate is warming, and too much of the Earth's wonderful wildlife is in decline. We can see the path out of this crisis, and we know it's possible. But how the world will look at the end of that path is difficult to say. It's so important to give young people the skills and the knowledge needed to transform our world and protect our future. Scientific knowledge is of course important, but it will only get us so far. For the full potential of the future to be realised, we need imaginers, dreamers and visionaries. Above all, we need young people who can picture a future worth fighting for, and to share that vision with others so that they are inspired to join them in making it a reality. That's why I was excited that WWF, the world's leading conservation organisation, was able to collaborate with the artistic team at the Grange Festival and involve young people in a project that has inspired them to imagine and communicate their vision. I'm in awe of the talent, the creativity and the passion on display in these videos, and seeing these films has given me hope for the future that these young people will undoubtedly help to shape. I'm sure they will have the same effect on all who see them, from school friends to world leaders. Well done to everyone who gave so much of their passion and their creativity to this project, and to the team at the Grange Festival who helped them to unlock that talent. Thank you.
So it certainly does give us hope, Tanya. I totally agree with that. And I feel like this is the moment in our programme that we ought to have a bit of a sing. You've already heard 3 gorgeous pieces that have been composed with composer John Barber. So I'm delighted to invite Rob Gildon back onto the stage to teach us one of the songs, Rob, that was composed in one of the schools you worked in.
Indeed. Now, I can see there's a sort of trepidatious look on your faces as you see I come on stage again. I'm sorry about that, but the lights are going up. There's no hiding now. I would love it if you could all stand up again. Just stretch your legs. It's a good time, isn't it? Sort of a... Okay, brilliant. Lovely, lovely. Okay, I'm going to teach you one of the songs which I worked on, and it's with a wonderful school, Cheriton Primary School. Where are you, Cheriton Primary School? Give me a wave and say hello. Say hello. Oh, you're very good. They weren't quiet. They were wonderful, wonderful voices. Okay, and I'm just going to sing you their song because I think this song is not only a beautiful song which they wrote, but also has beautiful words which kind of encapsulates everything about this whole vision. And it goes like this. There's a ripple effect across the earth from the Amazon over to here. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. Now we're going to learn that song. Could you give Cheriton a little round of applause for composing that song? Now, because not only are we singers, we're performers and storytellers. We're storytellers as well. We're going to have actions as well. I know. Yeah, there's no end to this. Okay, so the first bit goes like this. There's a ripple effect across the earth. Try that. There's a ripple effect. No, I thought that was good. That was kind of warming up, wasn't it? Okay, that was about a 4 out of 10, don't you think, Karen? A 4 out of 10? Okay, can we just ramp it up maybe to a 6 or maybe even an 8? Here we go. There's a ripple effect all over the earth, from the Amazon over to here. Try that. From the Amazon over to here. From the start. Here we go. After 2. 1, 2. There's a ripple effect across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Try that. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Now, with the future, could you really point at it? That where the future would be like the past. I've got the words wrong, haven't I? The future doesn't need to be like the past. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. And for that, what should we do for that? What should we do? One of those. Beautiful. Thank you for that suggestion. It's one of those. Hear this message. Let the future be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. Hear this message loud and clear. Shall I sing the whole thing again with the moves? Okay. So we get a gist of it. There's a ripple effect all across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Let this message loud and clear. And again, there's a ripple effect all across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. And again, there's a ripple effect all across the earth, from the Amazon over to here. The future doesn't need to be like the past. Hear this message loud and clear. But there's one other element to this song. And it's a bit, I know, there's more. I know you love it, okay. And it has a sort of YMCA moment. It goes like, F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. You got it? Here we go. F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. Now, can we really punch out the F-U-T-U-R-E? And could you maybe do this with your hands? I know this is a bit of a dad dance thing, but go for it. Okay, do something a bit more exciting, but I'm going to go with this, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, here we go. F-U-T-U-R-E, future vision. Again, F-U-T-U-R-E, future. And again, F-U-T-U-R-E, future visions. You're going to hear that song later on. Enjoy. Please join us when you see the film. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you very much. There was some very good singing, I have to say, happening up on the balconies. Congratulations to you. Our next film is inspired by freshwater rivers, and it's Perrin's School. Give me a yell, Perrins. Ah, and you were the ones that were really singing that time as well. I noticed you up there, so fantastic. So I'm delighted to welcome onto the stage, I don't know yet, this is a surprise. Who have we got from Perrin's?
Thomas.
Thomas, it's great to see you again, Thomas. And also Matt as well. So I directed, I was part of the team with Perrin's, the creative Perrin's team, and I really enjoyed working on this film. And the thing that inspired us all most, and hopefully you all agree with me, is fast fashion. So we were looking at freshwater rivers, the Mekong River, and it really became apparent in everything, Matt, that you did with us, that fast fashion struck a kind of real chord with us. So could you tell us a little bit more about the clothes that we're all wearing today and impact that has on our planet?
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, fashion, along with food, is one of the things that we can all think about change because we are all part of the system. We all wear clothes, we all buy clothes. And it really is one of the areas where change can have the biggest impact. So I'm really excited that you chose to focus on this. Food, we saw a film already about fresh water, and this is obviously focused on that in a different way. It's worth knowing that fast fashion is responsible. It's the second biggest user of fresh water, so after agriculture. So it's a huge impact on fresh water. It's also responsible for 10% of global carbon emissions. So you can see all the potential if we can lower the impact of fashion to have a real reduction in our footprint on this planet. And I don't need to tell you anymore because I've seen the film and it's all in there.
Great, thank you, Matt. And Thomas, you worked on this film with everyone,
yes.
And what would you say is your takeaway from the whole project?
Well, I think what made this project really doable was, everyone there, we really knew each other. We'd done one project like this before. Obviously the year 7s weren't there, but anyway, it was really nice to, be with each other and, work together with the film crew and with you. So.
Have you done any composing before?
Well, funnily enough, it was my brother, Magnus Gray, who actually
Hi, Magnus.
composed the backing of the piano tune. So, without him, well, we wouldn't have the same song, but...
Yeah, absolutely. And did you know anything about fast fashion and the impact on our planet?
It was completely new to me. I knew that water, there was a bit of a problem with all this climate change, but no, I had no idea about all these stats and figures about water, and it's...
Has it changed anything for you? I'm putting him on the spot now, in his cotton shirt.
No, well, myself, I've never really used cotton t-shirts. It's mostly, nowadays it's all polyester, synthetic fibres. But no, not really.
Brilliant. Okay, well, it's great that you came and joined us on stage, and well done to the rest of Perrin's as well. And we're now going to watch a film called Torrents to Trickles. How did you feel, Perrin, seeing that film? Oh, they're very silent, aren't they? I thought it was fantastic. And it's worth saying these films often were filmed in half a day, lots of them, with Peanut and Crumb, the film company. And it's really extraordinary what can come out of the circumstances. So we're given a criteria, as in these, you would probably see these pieces happening live on stage and they would exist in this moment, but we had to be creative in that moment where we couldn't workshop in the same way that would ordinarily be possible. So it is quite extraordinary what's come out in this amazing project. The next film was inspired by African grasslands, and it's with Everest Community Academy. And who've I got on stage with me? Freya. It's great to see you, Freya. And I worked with you, didn't I, Freya? And let's bring Matt back over. But I'm just going to, first of all, ask Freya that I know, hadn't you just started in year 7 and it had gone into lockdown, so you'd not been in school at all, and then some of the first moments that you were back in school, we arrived and said, right, we're all going to sing and act and write a piece now. So you were just getting to know your other fellow classmates in year 7, and there's also not currently music on your curriculum, is there? So how did it feel? I want to know, how did it feel suddenly singing in those circumstances?
Well, I think it was a good opportunity to get to know all of my new classmates, and it was very enjoyable, and it was a good way to settle into the school.
And did it further that? So when you went back into your school life, do you think things changed with people that were actually on the project?
I think that it helped because I was able to speak to more people and get to know more people that I'd be with in school.
And one of the lyrics that you came up with as a group was "Rewild the World." What does that mean to you when you sing that?
It means that we are trying to rebuild the world that we've started to destroy, and that we need to help it get back to what it used to be.
Fantastic. And Matt, what is the actual threat to our grasslands worldwide?
Well, this group focused on the Masai Mara, and what Freya just mentioned really spoke to me, because the Masai Mara is a protected reserve in Africa, which means that it's been unchanged for thousands of years. So you can go there and you can see how grasslands should work as an ecosystem in balance. Just a few apex predators, loads of wildebeest and other animals, and of course grasslands that are kept thriving by the movements of all those animals. What's happening in a lot of grasslands, for example in North America, but also some other parts of Africa, is that we're breaking that balance by using too much space for our own purposes, so mainly for agriculture, for growing our food. And that doesn't just mean that there's less habitat, it means it just can't work in the same way. The animals can't do the movements that they used to do, and that means that all aspects of the food chain are affected. So it's really inspiring, I think, to hear Freya say that they wanted to imagine what the world could be like again in the future, because the Masai Mara is kind of showing us that nature's still there waiting for us. We just need to give it the space to be able to work as it should, and that means it will work for us and it will work for wildlife.
Great, and we're now going to watch the film Rewild the World, so I hope you enjoy it, Freya, and the rest of Everest School. Thank you.
Plains of Africa, Serengeti,
Well done, Everest Community Academy. Are you in the house? I think you are. Where are you? Congratulations. Really nice to see you again on film and here in person. Now, our next piece is inspired by concrete cities, and this was with students at Winchester University, some of whom were on a course for more technical skills. So it's really interesting for them to make a film, but also to then perform in it. I have I, Dr. Boxley, with me? Fantastic. Great. So I'm really happy to invite you onto the stage, because I just want to know how the University of Winchester is approaching the education of young people in the field of climate change, having been on your extraordinary campus.
Hello, everybody. Yes, the campus is an interesting thing in and of itself, because we are aiming to be, we're hoping to be the first university in the country to be net zero by the end of 2025, and that is not long. So there's a lot of work still to do. But in terms of the undergraduates, I mean, a university, it covers an awful lot of ground, from people doing accountancy degrees to people doing academic traditional studies like history. And we are working hard to make sure that whatever degree anybody coming to the University of Winchester does, they experience what their discipline, what climate change means for their discipline. So in every module, in every course, we've embedded the UN sustainability goals. So there's a lot still to be done, but we're on our way.
And we were obviously at the university when we were filming, so we were surrounded by your buildings and some of the things that you've done. So I think students there couldn't ignore it, which I think is quite an interesting...
No, I think somebody coming to the University of Winchester hopefully will feel in the environment. It's what we call the subliminal curriculum, not the stuff that you learn, but what you learn from the messages, from what you can buy in the canteen, from the fact that, you know, if you walk around with a cup that isn't one made out of used gum, people give you a funny look. Imagine, you know, time was when if you did walk around with a cup made out of used gum, you might get a funny look. But we now, all the cups in our canteen are gumdrop cups made out of used gum.
As in that's been stuck to, like, as in stuck to places?
They collect it, so there are little places around the campus, and if you're chewing gum, you put them into these little bins.
Wow.
And then the gum is reconstituted into cups.
That is cool, isn't it? That is really cool. No, we're not in, there's no consensus here, I'm afraid, but I'm not sure it's selling going to Winchester University.
It was a big hit. My guess is you don't get the yucky stuff when you actually, well, I mean, I've got one, I carry it around with me all the time, so it works for me.
It's brilliant, it's so brilliant. And Matt, can you tell us why concrete is such a problem?
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I would start by saying what University of Winchester are doing is fantastic, and schools have an opportunity to do this as well. And exactly what Simon was saying there, if a school or a university, an institution where people are coming together to live, you know, for a few years of their lives, if they can demonstrate sustainability, that's the best way for that whole community to learn. And then you get visibility from everyone that's connected to that community as well. So it's a huge ripple effect that's possible. So much more than if a business of the same size was to make the same changes. So I'm a huge supporter of that. And if your schools are interested in being part of that journey, I do really recommend signing up to the Let's Go Zero campaign, where you can sort of say, put your flag in the ground and say you'll try to be net zero by 2030, but also saying you'll need government help to do that. And concrete, I think, is a great example of how we consider sort of urban life to be separate from nature. It's kind of like the anti-nature. Like, it's really difficult for things to grow through. It stops things from growing. It stops water from flowing. And so I think thinking about innovation when it comes to what urban life could be like in the future is a really important area when we're considering the future. And as well as stopping nature from doing its normal business, concrete is responsible for about 8% of carbon emissions worldwide as well. So it really is, it's kind of, it feels like it's of the past, and we really need to be thinking of alternatives for the future.
Fantastic, thank you. And I know if I had any students from Winchester University here with us, they've actually graduated the group we worked with. So they're off in lots of different places all over the world, I imagine. But if you are watching digitally, they created a storyboard themselves of how they wanted the film to look. And they worked very closely with myself and with the film crew around the campus to create the pictures that you see. So I just wanted to say well done for that part of it. And Dr. Boxley, it's been so nice that you were able to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is Green Ability.
Dystopia, concrete plans, cold heavy heart of the city, its brutal barrier chokes us, eclipsing the sky. Breathless, windowless, soulless, trapped without light and life, with nowhere to go, nowhere to go. Everybody knows us, every city knows us, from a tiny ship we grow. Everybody knows us, every city knows us, from a tiny ship we grow, into hills of green ability. Think of the things we could be. Green ability. Imagine the ways we could change a city. Change our city. Imagine the skyline covered in green, a cooler city that once had been, beaming with life like no one has seen. What comes next? Time for solutions. Look at the view.
Come over. So it's Saf from a participant in Wessex Dance.
Yeah.
And Matt, if you come on back over. I'm just going to start off with Matt. Thank you for joining us. So why is coral under threat?
So coral is one of the most under threat habitats and species, because they are, of course, living as a result of climate change. And it's one of the reasons why organizations like WWF are focusing so much when it comes to the climate change conference, COP26, later this year, on the target being to keep the rise below 1.5 degrees, or at least not higher than 1.5 degrees. And the reason for that is when temperatures rise, when the ocean rises in temperature, it affects coral, which is actually made of a plant and an animal working together. And what happens is the coral, unfortunately, it loses its relationship, and it expels the algae, the plant part of it. And that's what you see when coral bleaches. It loses all the color, and you're just left with this white frame. And it's the algae that's responsible for basically feeding the animal part of the coral. So that's the problem that happens when the oceans rise in temperature. The difference between the coral we will lose at 1.5 degrees and the amount of coral we stand to lose if we go over 2 degrees is the difference between maybe losing about 70 or even 80%, but still retaining some reefs, and actually, unfortunately, losing all of our precious coral habitat if we go over 2 degrees. So that's why we really want decision makers to focus on reaching that target, not just slowing climate change, but actually bringing it under that target.
Right, brilliant. And so you received this piece of music, which Jonathan Dove had composed with the Hampshire County Youth Orchestra, and you're in Wessex Dance Academy. So first of all, tell us a little bit about how much you knew about dance before you joined the company.
So I knew nothing about dance. I joined Wessex when I was 16, and throughout the years being there, they kind of opened my eyesight on what dance was all about and took me on this like amazing journey, which was such a privilege.
And was it quite disciplined to do that? Did you do it every day?
Yeah, every day, Monday to Friday. It was very disciplined in the studio. Outside the studio, it was really like calm and safe, but we were, doing things what we were told.
Goodness, it sounds extraordinary.
Yeah.
And when you got this piece of orchestral music and you looked at the themes of the bleached coral, what was it like then creating? How did you create this dance piece?
We all sort of worked together as a unit. We wanted to dance and create this point non-vocally. So we sort of worked together, and it was great.
Fantastic. So was it a transformative experience for
Yes.
you on top of dancing for the first time?
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much for joining
You're
us on
welcome.
stage.
Thank you.
And I hope you enjoy the film that you're about to
Yeah.
see that was filmed here on site. So this is the Hampshire County Youth Orchestra and Wessex Dance Academy, who transform the lives of vulnerable young people through contemporary dance. Enjoy. Bleached.
The score of Bleached is taken from a longer piece created in 2 days by musicians of the Hampshire County Youth Orchestra, working and improvising individually and in small groups and all together. After talking to Matt from the World Wildlife Fund, we pictured the desolate state of the bleached and dying coral reef. And then we imagined a future in which biodiversity has been restored and thought of all the different creatures you might expect to find in the healthy reef. And then each player chose one of those creatures and developed music for it. And we wove all of that together into this piece.
Wow. Fantastic, Saf and Wessex Dance Academy. You should feel so immensely proud of that performance piece. Our next film is inspired by ancient woodland and
called the Wood Wide Web. And the idea is, well, it's not an idea. What happens is that in woodland that's been established for long enough, there's a relationship between the roots of the trees and a mycorrhizal network. So that's a network of fungi. And what happens is that carbon and sugars are basically shared through this network between trees. And what they now know is that as well as sharing food, so the stronger trees that have got all the light can share it with other trees if they're making more food than they need. They can also share information. They can warn about threats, pests, diseases, and you can see trees in other parts of the woodland reacting, preparing to deal with that threat. So it really is, the longer a woodland is established, the more it becomes like a human brain, the more it becomes an interconnected network of information and not just a number of trees.
extraordinary. And Rob, as director on this project, very multi-skilled, isn't he? We've just seen him performing in one of the films earlier as a singer. What interested you about tackling ancient woodland?
Well, I think the first thing, I learned so much. I didn't know this. So, I mean, Matt, this is your passion, isn't it, ancient woodland? So it was very infectious, actually. So we really sort of fed off the Matt's enthusiasm for this topic. So that's amazing. And I think the other thing which was wonderful about this film is that it's an environment which is, you know, on my doorstep. We all have access to these spaces. They're close to us. So they're very tangible. And I think that's what really inspired me about this film. Also, we had a really wonderful time at Cranbourne. So thank you for that.
And Isabella, I hear that you all made this film and then you went off and made your own films, which we're not going to see today, but just tell me what inspired you to do that.
It's basically it's how nobody really knew about all the effects we're having on our climate. So for one, I didn't know anything about like ancient woodlands or how the trees would talk to each other. But we felt like if we didn't know, then how are other people supposed to know? So this would really help develop, even around school, if people saw us, then we could like spread the word.
Isn't that fantastic? Love it. So we're now going to watch your film, Wood Wide Web, by Cranbourne School. Thank you very much.
Ancient woodland is supported like a family.
full of song, full of colour, full of pleasure.
Wow. These pieces are so fantastic and inspiring. I would just want to be learning all these songs with you. Our next piece is inspired by the Amazon rainforest, and this was done with Cheriton Primary School. And I've got Izzy with me, haven't I? And Rob as well, and Matt as well. So welcome to the stage. Come on over. Fantastic. So Matt, a football pitch size patch of tropical rainforest is lost every 2 seconds. How is this possible?
It's a shocking statistic. It's one that we often use, and it can really bring home just how much we are damaging the natural world. And it is, as with a lot of the things you've learned about today, it's connected to our everyday lives, because the main reason why tropical rainforest is cleared is for agriculture, and particularly those kinds of crops that thrive in those equatorial regions, the same as tropical rainforest. So palm oil is a classic one. And palm oil is a cash crop, so you want to clear the land and use it, because that's the cheapest way to have land that can support palm crops. And then, when you've used the land and it starts to fail because it's used up all the nutrients, you clear more rainforest and use that land again, rather than restoring the land you've already cleared and using it again and again, which of course is much more sustainable. And what's tragic about this is even that football pitch size patch of Amazon could actually contain unique species that don't exist anywhere else, because that's just how biodiverse the Amazon rainforest is. So you could be driving a species to extinction every time even a small patch is lost. And it's so avoidable. So it's one of the areas which we know we can change and we need to change.
So we can change and we need to change, Izzy. And we're hoping that your film might be shown at COP26 in front of world leaders. And what would you like them to take from your film?
I think that everyone who made the project, I think that they all want everyone to realise that we need to turn the page of the past and write a new chapter for the future.
Oh yes. So how old are you?
10.
So I feel like Izzy got the hardest question of the day, and she answered it so eloquently. So thank you very much, Izzy. And Rob, what was interesting about the process of making this film?
I think one of the hard things is, because I've never been to the Amazon, we've never been to the Amazon, had we? And so it's understanding what the Amazon is like. And so I think what we tried to do with our film was try to think of how we could have an effect on the Amazon. And that's why we talked about that ripple effect, isn't it? And some of the things we could do perhaps in our lives here, which could have an effect on the Amazon. So it's like switching off lights. Do you remember any of the others? I don't want to put, what else? Oh, there we go. What other things?
There was switching off lights, there was eating less meat.
Yeah. Maybe driving less and things like that. Just thinking about some of these things, and maybe Matt can tell us about those things maybe at some point, some of these things we did. So that's kind of what we wanted to address in this film. So thank you for that, Izzy. That's brilliant.
And thank you, Izzy. This is actually the final film of our event, and I think you sing on your own at the end, don't you? Have I got that right? How exciting is that? I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Well done, Cheriton.
Do you want to go downstairs and watch it?
Our blue planet is pretty green, but we're taking more than we need. We're spray painting our lives like
Thank you. That was such a beautiful film to end with. And now, to wrap up, I'm really delighted to welcome on stage Michael Chance, Artistic Director of the Grange Festival, and Susan Hamilton, who is Head of Learning here at the Grange and who has inspired us all to do this wonderful project.
It's never easy to watch yourself on a screen and nothing as big as this. So congratulations to you all. I hope you're really, really proud of yourselves. You've tackled some really difficult issues and your films have a really strong vision behind them. The films will be available this afternoon on our website at thegrangefestival.co.uk. Please watch them again. Please share them with your families and put them on social media. We really want them to read your message. Thank you to our amazing creative team for all they've done and to Matt at WWF for realising these amazing films.
For me to be a wonderful privilege for me to be artistic director of this festival and of this theatre. And the privilege really is because extraordinary people like you come here and work hard to show us the power of your imagination and the power of your vision, both individually and collectively. And that is an extraordinarily amazing experience that we've all had this morning, and it's all thanks to you. I want to make some thanks also to some of those who made this possible. You've seen at the end of every film the names of the organizations who've provided money and resources for us to be able to do this. And please, my name Provident Financial and Phillips Solicitors in Basingstoke, who've led the extraordinary support which we've had for this fantastic project. Congratulations to Susan and to Karen and to Matt and to the many of you who've made this all so revealing. And as so many have said, I've learned so much this morning. I believe that everybody else has learned an extraordinary amount. And let us go on learning and developing and changing. Thank you. There we are, brilliant. Terrific. terrific stuff.
pretty green. But we're taking more than we need. We're spreading